Your Humanities Half Hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Welcome to Your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry, and as Veterans Day approaches, it's my pleasure to have in studio today via Facebook chat Mr. Tom Voss, a National Veteran Liaison with Project Welcome Home Troops. Tom, welcome to Your Humanities Half Hour.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're chatting with you in Washington, D.C., but pretty soon, in just a few days, you'll be here in the Marianas. Tell us a little bit about Project Welcome Home Troops.
Project Welcome Home Troops is a nonprofit that got started by a group of meditation instructors that taught in the civilian population that thought that veterans could really use these breathing techniques and these meditation techniques to help manage their own stress. So this started about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago. And it's been a program where a lot of our teachers are volunteer-based teachers, and they've been volunteering for a long time trying to help veterans manage and cope with their own stress.
Now, you yourself, you're a veteran of the United States Army, having served in Operation Iraqi Freedom. Tell us a little bit more about your background in the military.
Sure. I served from 2003 to 2006 with the 25th Infantry Division, and I joined as an infantry soldier, and specifically my job was reconnaissance, so I was a scout. And so my job was to go out ahead of everyone else, essentially, and gather intelligence, and we usually worked with sniper teams as well. So through that process, I was deployed from 2004 to 2005 to Mosul, Iraq. And during that time, there was some pretty intense fighting going on. And I was 20 years old when that all happened, and my platoon sergeant was killed in action. One of our squad leaders was killed in action. So it was a pretty traumatic 12 months for me.
What was your experience when you got out of the military in relation to your experiences while you were in the military?
I got out in 2006, and I really just kind of dove back into life. I mean, I went to school full-time, got a full-time job, got my own place, and just tried to carry on with my life like my deployment really never happened. But the problem is if you don't deal with some of these traumatic events, these stresses in your life, that they just kind of manifest themselves later down the road. So I started having issues sleeping. I think that was the first thing that came up in my life. And after that, I was having such a hard time sleeping that I started using alcohol to self-medicate so I could sleep. And it was becoming an issue in my life, but it really wasn't a problem, or people really didn't see it as a problem because, they thought I was just going out to have a good time, but really it was out of necessity to get a good night's sleep. I don't know if you can call it a good night's sleep, but just to sleep in general, I guess you could say. So through that process, I really started, stopped going to school on and off, and started isolating myself, and really started to struggle personally, and ended up dropping out of school. So it was at that point where my sister actually noticed I was kind of struggling and asked if I would go see a counselor at a vet center where I'm from in Milwaukee. And fortunately enough that I did. I went in and I talked to someone for the first time, and from there, I brought into the VA hospital healthcare system.
Well, we're hoping that there are some veterans listening who can relate to your story, because the good news is you're coming to the Marianas to offer what is called the Power Breath Meditation Workshop on November 3rd to the 7th. And this is going to be an opportunity for people to benefit from what your group has come up with as a result of trying to help veterans who were in the situation that you were in. And we're going to give some information on how people can participate in that. But prior to the development of the Power Breath Meditation workshops, you actually created a film to kind of express or document your experience. Tell us about it.
The film is actually called Almost Sunrise, and I think they're having a few more screenings on the islands coming up. And so that process was kind of, it all started that I got to a point of where I really couldn't take the stress anymore, and I was at a point in my life where I was considering suicide. So the walk itself kind of came about because that was the last thing I could think of that I could do to kind of address these issues. So myself and another Iraq War veteran, we walked from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Los Angeles, California, which is roughly around 2,700 miles. And we decided to do that by foot with no support whatsoever. We just had backpacks and ourselves. And fortunately for us, we had a film crew that came and documented the whole thing. They approached us before we left and asked if we could, or if they could, make a documentary film about it. And we said, no problem, come along. And that's the basis behind Almost Sunrise. So it really looks at the trek itself, or the healing in nature, but on top of that, it really looks at this concept called moral injury. So it really looks at these wounds from war that we can't see and that affect us on a moral level. So for me personally, I can give an example of this is I had a lot of survivor's guilt when I came back from Iraq. So why didn't I die, and why did my friends have to die? So I struggle with that a lot. It's probably around 10 years. Just thinking about that and trying to process that over and over again. So that's one example you can look at from a moral injury standpoint is trying to cope with these feelings of guilt or sadness that you really can't medicate. You really can't medicate those things. So the good thing about that is that at the end of this trek and at the end of the film, I found the Power Breath Meditation workshop, and it really had tremendous benefits and impacted my life very positively.
What was it, or when did this decision to take this 2,700-mile walk occur in your recovery process? Was it like after you had gone to see this counselor, as your sister had encouraged you to do?
Yeah, it really, so I think I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress in 2008. And so essentially from 2006 through 2013, I was kind of on a roller coaster and really not coping well with my situation. So
that's a really long time. That's a really long time, Tom.
Yeah, and you look at it, it took me maybe 2.5 years to even address the issues or to even talk about these issues. So, those are years that I can no longer give back. And through that process, I was put on a bunch of different medications, and then I found out that, maybe medications weren't for me. So personally, I felt worse off on medication, so I really started to look at other options, other treatment options for post-traumatic stress or stress in general, and how to really manage that.
Out of all of the options you looked at, what made you think that walking from Milwaukee to the West Coast was what you needed? I mean, that's pretty dramatic,
really,
as far as recovery.
It was really trying to reconnect with nature and really trying to take the time to be with myself and process these things, because I think today we're just so busy and there's just so much stuff going on in our lives that we never really take the time to stop and look at what's going on the inside and really try to address these things. So walking really, it's a slow, methodical mode of transportation. So it took us 5 months to do 7 states, and that really gave us time to start processing some of these things and really to connect with nature again.
Can you share with us any particular revelations you had or understandings you came to have during this walk?
Yeah, I think the main things that I took away from it were surrounding the deaths of my friends. So I came to the realization that the things that had happened to me in the past are over, and that there's not anything that I can do about them now, here in the present moment. So that was huge for me, to be able to sit back and be like, it's over, it happened, and how I'm going to move on and move forward from those events from now on. Because I spent so much time in the past thinking about how am I going to fix this, or how can I, what could I have done differently to affect the outcome, when, realizing that that's not even a possibility in reality. So to be able to come to that conclusion and kind of look towards the future now and saying, like, how am I going to live the rest of my life, and how am I going to move forward was a pretty big revelation for me.
Well, we're speaking today with Tom Voss. He's the National Veteran Liaison of Project Welcome Home Troops, and also a U.S. Army veteran who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom. And he's coming to the Marianas on November 3rd through November 7th to offer help to veterans. This Power Breath Meditation workshop is open to everybody, but as much as possible, we're hoping to have veterans fill the slots, and they will be given priority. When we come back, we'll talk more about what you can expect if you would like to attend these workshops after this break.
On October 28th, the Northern Marianas Humanities Council invites you to join us in celebrating our 25th anniversary fundraiser at Pacific Islands Club. Tickets are $50 and include a seafood and steak dinner buffet, live entertainment, a raffle and silent auction, and a keynote address by noted environmental activist and poet Kathy Jeno-Kitchener. All proceeds will go toward funding more public humanities programs and projects in our community. For tickets, call 235-4785 or stop by our office at the Springs Plaza building on Middle Road, Gualarai. We look forward to celebrating with you.
Welcome back to Your Humanities Half Hour. We're speaking via video chat today with Tom Voss, a National Veterans Liaison with the Project Welcome Home Troops, and also a U.S. Army veteran who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom. Tom, you're coming to the Marianas to offer Power Breath meditation workshops, primarily aimed at veterans, but it's great really for anybody coping with stress. Tell us what these workshops are all about.
Sure. Well, the workshops are 5 sessions, so there are 5 consecutive sessions, usually about 3 hours per session. And through the workshop, we'll teach some very simple breathing techniques that really help manage stress, and they have a lot of other benefits like improving sleep, improving interpersonal relationships. So the way that we communicate with each other and interact with each other, people have seen improvements in those areas. So just through these breathing techniques, there are really positive benefits. So on top of that, the whole idea of the workshop is to teach a home practice. So to be able to go through this workshop every day, we're going to be learning new breathing techniques, and they add on to each other. So by the end, you'll have your own practice, and you'll have multiple techniques that you can use, feel better, have more energy, and really overall, help your health and well-being.
And I think that's an important point to make, is that these series of workshops are not necessarily the pill that's going to cure whatever stress or anger, anxiety, sleep problems you may have, but it's more like a training for the participants to take and continue to practice and continue to progress and continue to heal and grow after the workshops.
There's definitely an initial stress relief through doing the workshop, but the goal is to have participants continue this practice on their own and to be able to use it to help manage daily stresses in their own lives.
So for those that are interested, it's basically a 15-hour commitment if I'm calculating this correctly, over a 5-day period. So that's Thursday and Friday, November 3rd and 4th, from 6:30 to 9:30 in the evening. And then on Saturday and Sunday, it's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then on Monday, it'll go back to 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. It is free. It will be held at Cha-Cha Ocean View Middle School in Cagman. And Tom is really looking for individuals that are prepared to commit to the full workshop to get maximum benefit from it. And I know for a lot of people that, I mean, that's a lot of time. And I can imagine some people saying, I'm not sure I really need to breathe for 15 hours over 5 days. So what can they expect when they come to this workshop? Both, you know, what is actually going to be happening and what can they expect happening inside of themselves?
The design of the workshop is to really, like I said before, teach these breathing techniques. But on top of that, we use different activities. There's a lot of journaling activities that go on. And these journaling activities are completely private. We don't really want people or force people to have to share things they don't want to share. So that's one thing people kind of worry about in group settings is like, do I have to share it? And we, you know, only if you're comfortable in a group, in the group setting. So this, on top of that, we have small group activities, but the main focus is learn, experience them, and really understand how to do them on your own. So again, some of the benefits coming out of the 5-day workshop is better sleep quality, improved mental clarity, stress relief, deep mental relaxation, and overall optimal performance. So, you know, when you get better quality sleep, you have, you know, better quality of life, you know, essentially. So we're looking at different ways just to make your life better in general.
When you do make that commitment to train yourself, definitely you do start to see the benefit. It's not only a change in your physical body, but it's also a change in your mind, your mental thinking, and also even your emotions. So in that sense, I can say that I believe this is going to be very beneficial to those that would like to register and sign up. It's for veterans, active duty military personnel, and their families. These will be given first priority. And we would like to have everybody registered by Monday, October 31st at 4 p.m. Share with us some success stories that have come out of this Power Breath meditation workshop.
I mean, myself, I can really kind of point to because I mean, I own a lot of veterans. You know, I was skeptical in the beginning because I'm looking at it like, you know, I breathe on a daily basis.
Yeah,
know,
right.
How we live. So like, how am I gonna learn breathing techniques, and how is that going to really affect my daily interactions, etc. So I was kind of a skeptic when I went in there, but I think by the third day, I think at that point when I was doing it, I was averaging maybe 4 hours of sleep at night. And I was keeping track of how many hours I was sleeping because, you know, I was kind of amazed at how I was able to function only on 3 to 4 hours of sleep at night. And one of the very first things that I noticed is, I think it was by day 2, I was sleeping a lot better. The quality of my sleep was a lot better, and I was getting more hours of sleep. So that was a huge shift. Just that little thing of just getting a few more hours of sleep a night really had an impact. And I was like, okay, well, this is working. So through the breathing techniques that we teach, it actually has a detoxifying process in the body, and you really get to experience that a little more mental clarity through that. So personally, I really you know went in as a skeptic and then came out a believer. I mean, I really believe that these practices can really benefit anyone who participates, regardless of what level of stress that you have, or regardless of what level of stress you think you have. You know, you could always benefit. You know, some of the success stories is that I do it every day. It's something that I do every day.
Really?
And if I don't do it, my day is kind of shot. So, you know, some people have to have a cup of coffee every morning, and I have to do these breathing techniques to make sure that I'm giving myself the best, advantage for the day. And that's, it all starts with, I just take stock of how I'm feeling, and, I kind of just started taking things out of my life that were taking away from that. So it was like anything that was making me feel, not so good, whether it was food or relationships or, people I was with, those things I just started self-managing myself a lot better after the workshop too.
So how much time a day do you spend breathing? No, I mean doing the power breath meditation.
It's really actually pretty short. It's like a half hour. So it just adds like a half hour onto my morning. So at first it was, just like anything, like with exercising or working out, it takes some practice to get a rhythm down for it. But after that, I mean, it's pretty simple and it's painless to do.
Can we spend a little time talking to family members and friends of veterans who can see that their loved one is suffering, is not right, but their loved one, the veteran, is reluctant to get help or to talk to a counselor or to come to this workshop or really to address or confront what their family member or friend can see? What's your advice in that kind of situation?
Well, I really think that, if someone's not willing to get help, there's no way that you can make them get help. But what you can do is make them aware of opportunities. So, I mean, this workshop is an opportunity, and, you can look at just, it's a free workshop that anyone can really take advantage of. So, I mean, I think you can go up to a family member that is struggling and say, this is something that, I think you'd benefit from, and just, put it out there. And I think a lot of veterans are concerned about being judged about either their experiences or how they're feeling. So I think that to be able to talk to a family member, talk to a friend, coming from a place of non-judgment, and really just offering them your support is the best way you can do. And that veteran or that family member will have to see that maybe this is something that I could benefit from, and they have to make that decision on their own. But coming from a friend or family member standpoint, just coming from a place of love and compassion, and just being I'm here to support you in any way that I can, I think is the best approach.
Well, again, the Power Breath Meditation workshops are going to be held from November 3rd to November 7th on Thursday and Friday in the evening, and on Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you're interested to register, you can get a registration form from the Northern Marianas Humanities Council office at Springs Plaza in Wallarai, and they'll let you know where to submit your registration to. Again, the priority for this free workshop is veterans, active duty military, and their families. But if you're interested, please go ahead and contact the Humanities Council to go ahead and register and get on the list. Tom, is there any other activities that Project Welcome Home Troops is involved in that you would like to mention, or maybe your contact information for the organization for people who would like to find out more about it?
My contact information is tom.voss@pwht.org. And if there's a veteran or a family member that has any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm very open about my own experiences with either a military experience, my deployment, or VA healthcare system, or going through the workshop itself. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to accommodate in any way that I can. And I think also I'd like to thank the Northern Marianas Humanitarian Council for actually bringing this out and making this possible. We're very excited here at Project Welcome Home Troops to be able to come out and teach these workshops.
Any closing thoughts before we go?
No, I mean, just thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and thanks for having the insight really to put this kind of workshop together as as a resource for veterans who need help in this kind of situation. It's unique. It's the first I've heard of it, and so definitely thanks for the insight and thanks for coming out.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Again, the workshop is Power Breath Meditation Workshops on November 3rd to November 7th in the evening on the weekdays and around lunchtime on the weekends. If you'd like to register, you can get a registration form at the Northern Marianas Humanities Council at Springs Plaza in Wallarai. Our guest today has been Tom Voss. He's National Veteran Liaison with Project Welcome Home Troops and also a veteran with the U.S. Army himself. This has been your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.